What's going on, my good people? Thank you for stopping by. This is Unnecessary Rambling. I'm Brandon Sylvia. Appreciate y'all for joining me. I'm not going to waste any of your time here today because we had one of the most insane news weeks for video games that I have seen in a long ass time, especially for stuff that is pertaining to my interests, some of my favorite franchises of all time. Got some really big updates this week, and I know it's been a while since I've made a news video here on the channel, but I thought, what better time than now to jump back in? And what better way of kicking off the show than talking about the most anticipated game in development by a wide margin, and that is Grand Theft Auto 6, and the wait is officially over. Rockstar has confirmed it, and we are getting a trailer next month, and to confirm it, they just went straight to their Twitter account and announced it there, and it is now the most liked gaming tweet in history. Rockstar on Twitter says next month marks the 25th anniversary of Rockstar Games. Thanks to the incredible support of our players worldwide, we have had the opportunity to create games we are truly passionate about. Without you, none of this would be possible, and we are so grateful to all of you for sharing this journey with us. In 1998, Rockstar was founded on the idea that video games could come to be as essential to culture as any other form of entertainment, and we hope that we have created games that you love in our efforts to be part of that evolution. We are very excited to let you know that in early December, we will release the first trailer for the next Grand Theft Auto. We look forward to many more years of sharing these experiences with all of you. Thank you, Sam Hauser. And this tweet now has 489,000 retweets and 1.4 million likes with 158 million views. Fucking crazy, man. So we don't have long to wait, man. It is right around the corner. December. Early December, GTA 6, or, the next Grand Theft Auto game, the next mainline Grand Theft Auto game will be revealed. And thing about Rockstar is, historically, their turnaround for their games from reveal to release isn't usually much longer than like 2 years. So I don't think this will be a case of, okay, it gets revealed, early December 2023, and then it comes out 2027. I don't think that'll be the case. I think we'll probably be playing this by mid to late 2025 if I had to make a guess. I honestly wouldn't even be surprised with how humongous this is and how hotly anticipated this game is. The turnaround could be even shorter, and the leaked gameplay that we saw of Grand Theft Auto 6, I mean, that was leaked footage from years ago, and it already looked pretty damn good. Do I have my worries about Grand Theft Auto 6? Absolutely, of course I do. So many of the key members of that team are no longer there, like, Dan Hauser, which Sam Hauser is still there, but Dan Hauser is no longer there. The guy who spearheaded the GTA Online initiative, Leslie Benzies, is no longer at Rockstar. One of their lead writers, I believe, left last year, if I'm not mistaken, and there's been a lot of shakeups and a lot of people leaving Rockstar over the years, so it's not the same studio that it once was, there's no doubt about that, but in 2018, they put out one of the greatest games ever made with Red Dead Redemption 2, and I've said many times on this channel, if you were to come to me and say, what's the greatest game ever made? Like, what is Red Dead 2 is not my favorite game ever, but objectively speaking, what is the greatest game you've ever played? I'd have a hard time not saying Red Dead Redemption 2. So, is this a different team? Is it a new era of Rockstar? Yeah, I mean, I think you would have to say that it is, but at the same time, yeah, it's hard to just deny the quality that we got with Red Dead 2 only, 5 years ago. I know a lot of y'all aren't the biggest fans of Keighley and then the Game Awards and all that shit, but dude, if Keighley can grab this, I don't think, Rockstar's too big to be associated with anything. They don't need anyone like we just talked about there. They just announced it on Twitter. Yeah, Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer coming in early December, and it's the most liked gaming tweet of all time. So they don't need to be associated with any big event. But could you imagine what that would do to the Game Awards, what that would do to the viewership if it was announced there? Or, the crazy thing is, it doesn't even necessarily have to be announced at the Game Awards. if it's just not announced before the Game Awards. Because if it's not announced, but say, I think the Game Awards is December 7th, if I'm not mistaken. Say that GTA 6 isn't announced until like the 10th or 11th. You know, people will still be tuning in to the Game Awards by the hundreds of millions just to sit there and wait and hope for GTA 6. So that's actually, I mean, that would be incredibly beneficial to all the other games that get revealed. So 100 million people are seeing the Judas game pop up or whatever, you know, re-reveals or pops up for the first time. More eyeballs will be on that than any Game Awards event ever, as long as GTA 6 does not launch its reveal trailer before the Game Awards. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how that all turns out. I would love to see Grand Theft Auto at the Game Awards. I would love to see Keeley get a big get like that, and obviously that would be the biggest get he's ever had by a country mile at the Game Awards, but that would, you know, put that show into a new stratosphere. I'm not going to sit here and speculate too much. I think I will make a GTA 6 wishlist video sometime pretty soon, and I'll dive in much deeper into my hopes and dreams and wishes for the next Grand Theft Auto game, but I'm excited. I did not expect to see this soon. I was expecting this to probably be announced 2024, mid to late 2024, and then come out like 2026-ish. So much sooner than I expected. And I know they were talking about Take-Two with the financial earnings call, where I think they said fiscal 2024 was supposed to be their biggest quarter, or, you know, their biggest year in like ever, or the biggest year they've had in a long ass time. I don't remember the exact specifics of how that was worded, but it was pretty much stated like, oh yeah, we're going to have a huge 2024, or, you know, which would carry into, I think, like March 2025 for the fiscal year. But I don't know, the pessimist in me just assumed that was all shareholder speak, and it was like, yeah, you know, we're gonna try to hit that fiscal 2024 window, but it seems like this damn thing could come out before March 2025. But let's transition over here to this Mass Effect news, and what I have pulled up on the screen right now, the next Mass Effect game reportedly isn't expected until 2029 or later. I had not seen this until just now, and that really bums me out. So I'm going to read that and react to that with you guys in live time. But I guess we'll talk about the teaser trailer first, and I'll roll that on the screen for you, because I was actually really excited to come in here and talk about this until I just saw this article from VGC. And VGC is usually not one to post like clickbaity bullshit. So I don't know. This just kind of bums me out, because I mean, 2029, that's not even this generation. We'd have to wait until the next generation of consoles before we got the next Mass Effect game. And I guess, you know, we'll hop back to this teaser trailer real quick. That is the thing, that when you see a 30-second teaser trailer, of course I was excited. Just, you know, all the speculation running rampant on social media. People be like, oh, you know, we're gonna play as Liara, we're gonna have a cloned version of Shepard, or we're gonna be playing as Shepard's kid, and all these different theories that are thrown out there. And it's fun to get excited in the moment, but I guess, you know, looking at it, it is a 30-second nothing teaser after we have previously gotten nothing ass teasers. We know really nothing about this game. We've saw no gameplay of it. We've saw no real like in-game cinematics. There's just nothing to be known of this game. So I guess, you know, the new Mass Effect game isn't expected until 2029 or later. That shouldn't really fucking surprise me. But it does beg the question, why the hell are you drip feeding these nothing bits of information if it's going to be such a long wait for the game? Like, just let it cook. I'm on board. I think actually Mass Effect Andromeda is pretty friggin' cool. The gameplay, the gunplay in that's better than any Mass Effect game by a country mile. The movement and traversal and Anthem I've heard is actually pretty solid. So like maybe combining some of those things into the next Mass Effect entry, you probably have a good fundamental foundation there. But let that bad boy cook, because when information like this breaks after positive, you know, reception and people in the community being happy and then immediately bummed right back out, that's just you know, that's such an unfortunate sequence of events, that constant roller coaster. Fans be like, oh hell yeah, oh nope, now we're going back down. Let's go ahead and dive into this VGC article real quick. I think I killed enough time there vamping to let that trailer roll in its entirety. We got this article that was posted by Chris Scullion at VGC, and it says the next Mass Effect game may not see a release until 2029 or later, it's claimed. BioWare marked its annual N7 Day on Tuesday by publishing a teaser for its next Mass Effect game. However, during Giant Bomb's Game Mess morning show on Wednesday, the site's Jeff Grubb and Tamar Hussein both shared, according to their sources, the game is still a long way off. You want some original reporting, Grubb said. This game is just nowhere near coming out. I was told when they revealed Dragon Age Dreadwolf in 2018 that this is similar in terms of timeline. That was announced in 2018 and we're not getting that game until maybe next year. So now we do the math for that and we're talking 2029 for Mass Effect 5. Hussein replied, I've heard some things as well, and this game is so far away. It is so far in another galaxy right now. Grubb went on to claim that his sources told him the N7 Day teaser was created mainly to reassure fans that a game was in the works rather than any sort of indication that it was coming anytime soon. When I asked, it was just like, hey, is this just because they have to do something for N7 Day? Yes. For this thing, that's all this is. So, I mean, that is a real fucking bummer, but, I mean, I guess you could kind of see the writing on the wall with just the lack of information and knowing that Dreadwolf is going to come before Mass Effect, the new Mass Effect game, Mass Effect 5, whatever they call it, knowing that Dreadwolf is going to come before that, and we still haven't seen real gameplay of that at all. Yeah, it probably was just to reassure fans that that little 30-second glimpse of a character walking was just to let fans know, hey, we're still trying to work on this game, and that's a damn bummer, man. But at the same time, I just find it absolutely fucking insane to re-reveal your game only for fans to have to wait another 6 years before they can play it, or, you know, let's say 5.5 years before they can play it. Like, and we've seen shit like that with Cyberpunk, and we've seen stuff like that in the past for sure, but that would be like an all-time catastrophic PR move if we're waiting another 5 years for this thing, just getting drip-fed little nothing-ass trailer after little nothing-ass trailer. So I don't know, a part of me just, and I don't know, maybe this is just my hopes talking here, but a part of me is just like, there's no way it'll be 2029 or later. I will say this. I think if we don't see Dreadwolf at the Game Awards with a release date, then yeah, probably will be 2029 or later. Because if Dreadwolf's not at the Game Awards, that means that Mass Effect 5, if Dreadwolf gets announced for the first time in 2024, that means it probably releases in 2026, and then that would in turn mean that, you know, Dragon Age or Mass Effect 5 would be 3 years after that, and that does sound totally reasonable when you lay it out that way. So this is probably correct, and in my opinion, that would just reiterate the point that it's probably a bad business decision to show anything of this game or to even remind us about this game. Get out Dreadwolf first. And, you know, it's easy for me to say, being on the outside, they're running a business and they're trying to keep fans' interest and keep fans engaged, but yeah, you're gonna just do this for another 6 years? That seems asinine. And from one company that seems to be imploding to another, we have Tom Warren reporting here that Sony is pushing back its live service game ambitions. The PlayStation maker says it now expects to release 6 live service titles by March 2026, half of what it previously planned. And I've seen a lot of people cheering for this, and don't get me wrong, I'm happy about this as well. I'm happy that the live service initiative is slowly being reined in a little bit and pursued less aggressively. But dude, when you look at the first party landscape of what we know about from PlayStation in the coming years, it is a barren wasteland outside of the live service titles. We have Wolverine, and then we have Ghost of Tsushima 2 that hasn't even officially been announced, and who knows if there's a stronger focus on multiplayer integration into that game. But I mean, what else is on the roadmap that we have that's officially announced? Marathon and Concord, Fair Games, the Days Gone, the Sony Bend new live service title, the Sony London new live service title, Foam Stars, which I know isn't first party, but going to be an exclusive live service game. And then obviously The Last of Us Factions, which seems to be on ice for the time being. Like, okay, if half of those games or more than half of those games that we just went through are being delayed, then what the hell else is on the horizon for Sony? They better be goddamn thankful that Square Enix is being generous and handing out those Final Fantasy games like candy, man. If it wasn't for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, man, I mean, 2024 would look awful for PlayStation for what we know right now. And you know, they've done it before, had those E3 of Dreams moments where the one where they revealed God of War and Spider-Man and Horizon and then Detroit Become Human and a bunch of shit. I think that was 2016 or 2017, if I'm not mistaken. That was an epic showcase. So if we do have one of those showcases pop back up, all of this can be flipped on its head tomorrow. But with what we know right now, 2024 looks to be just totally empty for PlayStation first party. And outside of a Silent Hill 2 and a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Stellar Blade, if that's still, I'm sure that'll hit 2024. And Rise of the Ronin, I'm not so sure that'll hit 2024. But Pacific Drive, there's a couple of those second party titles and third party titles that are carrying a lot of the weight, but first party looks to be in real bad shape. Some real bad mismanagement issues seem to be going on internally with PlayStation. We know that Jim Ryan just left, and I assume they're bringing in a new CEO at some point soon. I know that they have I don't know if the guy that they're bringing in, Hiroki Totoki, I believe his name is, I don't know if he's going to be a fill-in role or if he'll they'll test him out and he'll remain there long term. Who knows how that'll end up shaking out? But oh man, it just does not look good, in my opinion, for PlayStation right now, especially when you look across at Xbox. And for the first time in decades, the argument of Xbox has no games, like, that's just not true anymore. When you look at their pipeline, granted, they have to deliver, and they have historically been fucking awful at delivering on high quality games, but when you look at their roadmap, you're talking about, just in 2024, you're talking about Hellblade 2, you're talking about Avowed, you're talking about the Flight Sim 2024, the Towerborn game, and then, on down for 2025 and beyond, you got Clockwork Revolution in there, you have the Outer Worlds 2 in there, you have the Doom 3 game, I think they're calling it Year Zero, that leaked on the document, Dishonored 3 leaked on that document, the State of Decay 3, which who knows what's going on with that. Perfect Dark, we know that's being developed by Crystal Dynamics, so that for damn sure will come out at some point. That team is talented as hell. I mean, Fable, Indiana Jones, the Compulsion, South of Midnight game. And then on top of that, there's a Gear 6 coming soon. That Tango is probably going to crank out another game before the end of this generation. That Double Fine is probably going to crank out another game before the end of the generation. And it seems like they're going to keep a lot of this shit exclusive. And I mean, hey, if that's the war, if that's the war that's going on, if these console wars are indeed a real thing, which by all those leaked documents and all that shit that popped up during the FTC, the Activision versus FTC trials, like, that very much seems to be something that just does not live on the internet. The console wars seem to be being fought in the executive suites as well. And then that's not even looking at the Activision Blizzard acquisition. And there was a rumor that StarCraft, the next StarCraft game, could potentially not be a real-time strategy title. Is that going to become an Xbox exclusive when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out? Will that be an Xbox exclusive? Like, it just competition's getting fierce for PlayStation. I don't think by the end of this generation it will matter. Like, there's such a just kind of inertia factor at play right now after the success of the PlayStation 4 and having maybe the best exclusives of any console in the history of video games. The PS4 exclusive lineup is damn near unprecedented, if not unprecedented. So a lot of that goodwill just carried over into this generation, but shit, dude, when you get to the 10th generation of consoles or whatever the hell Xbox is doing by that point, if they're just doing all streaming, or I'm sure they'll have another console into the next generation, but when you get to the 10th generation, if people look back and they're like, well, shit, the exclusives on offer for PlayStation were not great, and the exclusives on offer for Xbox really picked up from 2023 and beyond, that's going to shape people's purchasing decisions. That's going to influence people's purchasing decisions massively. And listen, you guys know I'm a PlayStation dude. I love those third-person, very, very heavily cinematic, narrative-driven action-adventure games. That is my favorite style of game in the world. But if we're not going to see a whole bunch more of that shit, then it's like, okay, what the hell am I sticking around here for? And I imagine there's millions of others that will eventually begin feeling the same way as well. And, I know that the majority of people just pick up a PlayStation to play their Fortnites and Call of Duties, but look at Spider-Man 2's sales. You know what I mean? That game sold, I think it's over 5 million copies already. God of War Ragnarok sold like absolute hotcakes. The Last of Us sells well. Ghost of Tsushima sells well. These games sell well. So acting like it's an insignificant portion of their community who appreciates and values these style of experiences, that doesn't seem like a smart business strategy at all, because if those experiences aren't on offer on your platform, but the other platform has those experiences on offer in an exclusive capacity, then why wouldn't we just leave your platform and go to the other guys? Listen, I'll be around with PlayStation as long as they're committed to the high quality narrative driven experiences, and news like this, it is somewhat promising to hear that they are kind of pulling back a little bit on the live service push. But to me, that's also worrisome of like, well, damn, what the hell are you going to release? Because we know nothing outside of damn Insomniac and what they have going on. They've been carrying the entire damn generation on their back. So I don't know. I'm hopeful PlayStation pulls it together and closes out the generation in a strong fashion, but can't say I'm necessarily optimistic at all. I know the Santa Monica game that's in the works, I think it's sci-fi Santa Monica game, and then the fantasy Naughty Dog game that are in the works. Sure, I'm excited about those rumored games that I know nothing about. The 10-second Uncharted teaser that we got where you might be playing as Nathan Drake's daughter, but we're all just speculating about this because we actually know literally nothing. We don't know anything about what Blue Point's got going on. There's all these unknowns that could be like, holy shit, hell yeah. KOTOR remake gets revived. Sony found a new partner to go in and make that exclusively. Like, there's so many of these possibilities that could totally shift the way I'm speaking right now. And I want to reiterate that is that I'm not too prideful to come on here and after one of those E3 of Dreams style showcases and tell you, well, damn, it looks like a lot of my worries went out the window in that one damn event. Very well could happen, but we shall see. All right, we'll run through this last news story real quick, and then I will hop out of y'all's hair. It's a bit of a bummer one, so we'll go through this pretty quickly. Time Splitters developer Free Radical Design is at threat of being closed by owner Embracer Group just 2 years after it was re-established, sources have told VGC. And this was also reported, I think, a couple days after the COO of Embracer Group has stepped down. So definitely tumultuous times over there at Embracer, and it's a bummer because they have some really talented teams under their belt, like Eidos Montreal, like Crystal Dynamics, but I think that's when a lot of people begin to get skeptical of Embracer, was when those purchases began happening just at a rapid pace, where we were seeing, limited run games and the Lord of the Rings IP and Dark Horse Comics and tons of shit. The Maneater developer, Tripwire, the Teardown developer, I forget the name of that company, but they were just buying up tons and tons of these different publishers and just different IP and like, man, I think you had an interesting niche carved out for yourself with the AA market, and then, earlier this year, or was that late last year? No, that was definitely earlier this year, where they closed down Volition, the developer of Saints Row and the Red Faction games. And then on top of that, the Saudi investment that was supposed to go through, that might have been late last year. I'm horrible with time, but the Saudi investment that was supposed to go through, it was supposed to be like a multi-billion-dollar investment deal, and that fell through. And I think that's where, after that, we really began to see the ripple effect of companies like Volition being cut, maybe the Time Splitters developer Free Radical. And I don't think this is the end of the Embracer cuts. I really do worry about talented ass teams like Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal. And, like, a lot of comments are saying, why not just sell Free Radical? Why not just sell these different teams and get them to a home that they can actually, where they can be funded and they can continue the development of these games? Like, I'm sure a Microsoft or a PlayStation or even a worst case scenario like a Tencent, I'm sure these companies would not at all mind adding a Free Radical or adding a Crystal Dynamics or an Eidos Montreal or, some of those THQ Nordic developers. I'm sure they would not at all mind adding some of those teams to their roster. And listen, I'm not a fucking economist or a business guru or a mergers and acquisitions guy, but I don't know. I just feel there has to be a better solution than killing off teams one by one after your deal fell through. And that also really makes me worry a lot about that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, the Last Ronin title that is in development by, I think, the Destroy All Humans team is making the Destroy All Humans remake team. I think they're creating the Last Ronin title. And a lot of people were already worried about that out the gate when, we were talking about, oh, it's going to be this AAA God of War inspired style Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. People were like, is Black Forest really going to be the team that's able to create that? And regardless if they are or not, I hope they at least get the damn opportunity to, and this thing just doesn't get axed before it even begins like active development. And then we saw with Gollum and that other Lord of the Rings game, Return to Moria. I'm not a Lord of the Rings guy, but we had those two Lord of the Rings games come out this year, and they were both pretty much flops across the board. So are they even good stewards with the Lord of the Rings license that they bought outright? And I was thinking about, like, what the hell could Embracer do to course correct at this point? What could they do to turn that ship around? And I mean, the first thing is just to ship the games that they already have in development, like the Tomb Raider Amazon title. Go ahead and get that bag, and then I'm sure that'll sell multiple millions of copies when that thing does release. People love Tomb Raider, and people will be pumped to see it come back. I think it's been, by the time it releases, it'll probably be close to like 7-8 years before we've seen a Tomb Raider game release. And then we also have Crystal Dynamics working on Perfect Dark as well, so go ahead, get that thing shipped, and if you can't, just sell the damn team to Xbox, sell the team to Microsoft, let them continue development on that Perfect Dark title, and that way we could see, sell the IP as well, sell the not the Perfect Dark IP, but sell the Crystal Dynamics developed IP like Legacy of Kain over to Xbox, over to Microsoft. That way we could get an actual reboot or an actual remake of Legacy of Kain. And I know I'm mostly talking about this from a fan of games perspective, but I would definitely double down on Wild Hog, the team that made Evil West and Shadow Warrior last year. Two really, really solid titles. A really prolific developer cranking out 2 games in 1 year. And I think that team has serious potential. And it's like Evil West, I legit think was one of the best games of 2022, and I don't remember hearing much marketing at all for that title. I don't remember seeing that pop up much at all before it released. So put some money, put some marketing behind that team, and I think you could have like a potential AAA juggernaut developer with Flying Wild Hog. And I mean, it's just kind of baffling to me why the TMNT game wasn't developed by Flying Wild Hog. That seems to be the perfect developer for that style of God of War, action adventure, AAA, more heavy narrative style experience. Like Flying Wild Hog pretty much did that with Evil West. But honestly, I think the best move, unfortunately, from a business standpoint to dig yourself out of the grave would just be to sell the teams and sell the IP along with them. And yeah, it'd be a bummer, but you kind of just got to cut your losses and move on, I guess, at this point. Like, there's no way what they have going on right now is sustainable. It's about to implode. So I don't know. I would say get the fuck out while you can and make some cash on the way out, while also offering up a future for these teams so that they can, have some resources and have some funding, and while also not having to deal with all the fucking turbulence and shit you've created internally for these teams. Get them off to someone who can manage them a bit better. But yeah, that's going to be it for me, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. A huge ass week of video game news. So I'm going to try to keep doing these. I definitely can't commit to like a weekly schedule for these, but maybe if it performs well, maybe I'll try to do it on a monthly basis or something like that. If you guys like it, let me know down in the comments, and leave the video a like. It kicks it out to more people in the algorithm. Consider subscribing if you're new, and sharing it with a buddy, and then all that good shit helps out the channel immensely. So I appreciate all of you for stopping by, and that's the return for the video game news on Unnecessary Rambling. I hope to be doing more of this stuff very, very soon. I know without a doubt the Game Awards predictions will be coming up soon, and the Game Awards announcement predictions, those will be kind of right next to one another, probably only a couple days spread apart between those two when I launch those, when I upload those to the old YouTube. So definitely some good content on the way. Another Rambling Reviews episode for November will drop sometime soon, and yeah, man, stay tuned, stick around. Appreciate y'all for checking out the channel. If you are new, consider subscribing, all that good stuff. Like I said, I'm just repeating myself at this point. Appreciate y'all. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye.